that it ain't no easy life. All over this world there's enmity and strife. But all the pain and misery, it's all because of man. Yet even infidelity, we blame it on Satan. Just listen what your woman say when you catch you with your boo. Look at what the devil make me do. But if Satan come and tell it to you, then you go and do what he say do. Can't blame Satan for that. And ladies, you find a good man married to he, but let your sweet man chicky. Can't blame Satan for that. If you don't change your ways and repent before too late, at the end of your days you won't enter heaven's gate. Instead you'll end up in the fire in hell with Lucifer. And can't blame Satan for that either. Can't blame Satan. No, 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 no. No way. Can't blame Satan. The problem is man. Can't blame Satan. The problem is man and woman.
Reaching you wherever you are. ZIZ Radio, the golden voice of the nation. From the heart of ZIZ Radio comes a political talk show like no other. The Edge, with host Devonne Cornelius giving you his take on the biggest stories happening in governance today. Got something to say? Let's hear it. Give us a call at 869-465-2555, Monday to Friday from 11 a.m. to 12 noon. One solid hour of in-depth analysis of the machinery that makes our country tick. The Edge, cutting into the matters at hand.
Good morning, and welcome to The Edge for Monday, July 29th, 2024. I'm your host, Devonne Cornelius, and thank you so much for joining me in the program for today. It's just 2 minutes past the 11 o'clock hour here in the studios of ZIZ Radio here in Bastia, St. Kitts. It's a beautiful Monday morning, and again, thank you for joining me. Let me also say good afternoon, good evening to those of you who are listening from other parts of the world, and whether you are listening via the FM band or via the World Wide Web or our social media accounts. The program is also being viewed live or carried live there, so you can check us out on our YouTube channel at ZIZ Online or via Facebook at ZIZ Broadcasting Corporation. Thank you so much for joining me, and I look forward to having a discussion with you. When we open the phone lines later, you may call us at 465-2555 or 718-577-2916. Again, the numbers are 465-2555 or 718-577-2916. That is our overseas line. Remember to be respectful of other callers, and most importantly, respect yourself. Allow other callers to get in and make their contribution as well. Today, I want to begin, of course, with sharing some updates with you on what is happening in and around St. Kitts and Nevis and things across the region that relate to St. Kitts and Nevis. Earlier today in the 9 a.m. news update, I gave you some details about the 47th regular meeting of the Conference of Heads of Government, and this takes place from the 28th to the 30th of July in Grenada. And so this meeting is basically the heading, Meeting of the Heads of Government for CARICOM, where they discuss a number of matters pertaining to regional development. So on the 27th, they had their a briefing for the media. On the 28th, there was a ceremony which included an address by the CARICOM Secretary General, Dr. Carter Barnett, and the outgoing chairman of CARICOM, His Excellency Dr. Mohammed Irfan Ali, and incoming chairman of CARICOM, the Honorable Dickon Mitchell, and the admission of Curacao as associate member. Today, which is the 29th, they will be having business sessions from 9 a.m. at the Radisson Grenada Beach Resort. And then tomorrow, Tuesday, they are expected to continue with business sessions basically for the entirety of the day. And at 5 p.m., they are expected to host a press conference where members of local and regional and international media will be allowed to ask questions, as the press conference will be hybrid. As I mentioned, the meeting of the Conference of Heads of Government focus on regional development and all things that affect the Caribbean region. We know over the years a lot of focus has been placed on fighting non-communicable diseases, and so in the area of public health, of course, when the region went through the COVID-19 pandemic and how it significantly impacted our economies as small island developing states, of course, with tourism, and most of the countries in the region, if not all, depending on tourism, and so that would have been the center of focus. We also know that Caribbean heads of governments have been talking and have been doing a lot of planning with their local police as it relates to crime and violence, and looking at gang-related activity, looking at gun and human trafficking in the region. And so these are some of the major issues that have been addressed and continue to be addressed over the years. And it is something that is definitely important because it affects our way of life. As we know, crime is everybody's business, health is everybody's business, and of course it being public health, and looking at where the governments across the region can assist ordinary citizens and residents in becoming healthier and having a healthier population so that people could live longer. If you're just tuning in, you're listening to The Edge here on ZIZ Radio 96.1 FM. I'm your host, Devonne Cornelius, and again, thank you for joining me on the program for today. As I just made mention of health, I want to share with you the Prime Minister announced earlier today that the new CT scan machine has arrived. He said, and I quote, "We are aiming to have it commissioned by September. This machine is a 125 slice, meaning that it is so advanced that it will be able to diagnose heart disease. Thanks to the Ministry of Health leadership and Special Envoy for Health, Dr. Frank Laws, for making this possible. A brand new CT scan machine, So it's a brand new CT scan machine, and it is currently here on island. They posed which pictures with it. The Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Health, Curtis Martin, and according to the Prime Minister and the Minister of Health, it will be commissioned by September. We'll take a short break, and when we come back, we'll continue our conversation here on The Edge. Stay tuned.
You castle and you have to defend that. Get serious, use Bob. Mosquito fly and roach have to stop. Get serious, use Bob. No me get cross. Him take a pass, but spray me pop off. But coulda done my roach, I try sneak past. One spray to me bop, and him little life last. Me bop work fast. Me say, anytime he fly and the roach him come in, one spray to me bop. Them dead pan the scene, but still me out smelling fresh and clean. See what me mean? Get serious, use Bob.
Welcome back to The Edge and ZIZ Radio 96.1 FM. I'm your host, Devonne Cornelius, and thank you for joining me in the program for today. It is 12 minutes past the 11 o'clock hour. If you're just tuning in, thank you for joining me. When we open the phone lines later, you may call us at 465-2555 or 718-577-2916. And so I shared an update regarding the 46th regular meeting of CARICOM heads, or the CARICOM heads of government. And this meeting is currently happening, and it concludes actually tomorrow, July 30th. And we have a delegation which is being led by the Deputy Prime Minister, the Honorable Dr. Jeffrey Hanley, and it includes other government officials. And the Prime Minister and the Minister of Health, the Honorable Dr. Terence Drew, has announced that the new CT scan machine has arrived, and they are aiming to have it commissioned by September. And so to make sure everything is in place and everything is working fine, that is expected to be commissioned by September. This machine is a 125 slice, meaning that it is so advanced it will be able to diagnose heart disease. And the Prime Minister expressed thanks to the Ministry of Health, its leadership, and the Special Envoy for Health, Dr. Frank Laws, for making this possible. We'll open the phone lines now and we begin taking your calls at 465-2555. Call us and lend your voice to the conversation at hand. What is on your mind or what I've raised today? Give your view and your feedback on it. As I mentioned regarding the CARICOM heads of government meeting. The focus over the years on these meetings have been to ensure that Caribbean governments are working together. And at times we find that one country is doing this, another country is doing that, and they're not necessarily working together. I remember some time back, a Caribbean politician was talking about an investment that his citizens had been calling for in terms of having that investment in the country. And I think it was something along the lines of healthcare, tourism, something along those lines. But I believe it was healthcare. And he was making the point that it would not be sustainable to have that particular service offered in that particular country or island. It would make more sense for the region to collaborate. And so if you have 3 CARICOM member states in the region that say, okay, let us together make an investment in this particular area. And so instead of having 3 of the same in each of those countries, let us have 1 in this country and have the citizens and residents from the 2 other countries travel to that country at a significantly reduced cost for the airfare, accommodation, and at a significantly reduced cost for getting medical attention, getting care. And that makes more sense. Instead of it possibly being a case where it is offered in your hometown, and so you're here in Bastia, and that service that is in high demand is within Bastia. So you might say, okay, it is convenient for me to just catch a bus. I have somebody drop me there. But the cost is $15,000 and $20,000. Versus if those 3 CARICOM member states came together and said, we are going to collaborate and we are going to have this investment offered in the region. It may be a case where you spend less than $1,080 for your airfare, your accommodation, your medical attention. That to me makes economic sense, instead of having it offered in every single state within CARICOM. And basically you're losing because you're not making enough money to pay your staff. You're not making enough money to maintain that medical equipment and those other essential moving parts that form part of offering quality healthcare. And I believe, that is something that prior to reading up about it, we all took for advantage. We say, let's have it here because another country has it or another island has it. But the research and the comprehensive data must be compiled. It's just like when you're opening a business. You open the business because you would have done your research, you did your research, and you saw that there was a need for that particular business to be offered in this country, in this island. And so you're now making big because you did your market research and you were able to determine that this is a company or a business that is definitely in high demand. And so too should be the same for investments in any sector in the country. But if you're going to make an investment, you must ensure that the dance could pay for the lights and that you could maintain the essential moving parts for that particular business that you're offering, or else you're going to fail. And one may argue that, okay, it is the government and they have the money, but at the end of the day, it is taxpayers. And so we have a situation where we don't want the taxes to increase, and I'm not here advocating for taxes to increase or for there to be new taxes. But we don't want taxes to increase. We don't want there to be new taxes, and we don't want for all of those things basically to happen. But we want better health care. We want things that are financed by the public's purse. And we also have people who refuse to pay their taxes. And so we can't want all of these things, but we're not paying taxes to ensure that these things survive and that these things are being paid for. But I believe it is something that we continue to take for granted, and we don't see perhaps we see it from a different lens or from a different perspective, but that definitely should not be the case. The phone lines are open, remain open. We take your calls, 465-2555 or 718-577-2916. I'm Devonne Cornelius, your host, and thank you for joining me on the program for today. If you're just tuning in and wondering what we are talking about, the Prime Minister announced that there is a new CT scan machine. It arrived in St. Kitts and Nevis very recently. And the 47th regular meeting of the CARICOM heads of government, where they meet to discuss a number of matters or issues relating to regional development. And I know over the years, I'm not quite certain what the focus will be this year, but I know over the years the focus has been heavy on combating crime and violence and criminal activity, crime and violence, as well as the public health and the public health issues, and ensuring that our people live longer, healthier lives, and the ministries of health in the region tackling non-communicable diseases, that entities have played a role in taking down many of our people, and it has been plaguing the region, and it is something that we have to deal with and something that we have to grapple with. It's 11:21. We'll take a break, and when we come back, we'll continue our conversation here on The Edge. Stay tuned. Hello and welcome back to The Edge. We have a caller on the line. Good morning.
Good morning. Are you having a special topic?
Sorry?
Are you having a special topic? I don't want to interrupt a special topic.
You can go ahead and weigh in, but we are talking about the CARICOM heads of government having their meeting, in Grenada, and the Prime Minister recently announced that the new CT scan machine has arrived.
Anyway, I won't interrupt that the next time. Thank you.
All right, Carter, thank you for your contribution. Thank you for your call. The phone lines remain open, 465-2555 or 718-577-2916. Call and lend your voice to the conversation at hand. If you're just tuning in, we are on the topic of the new CT scan machine arriving and the CARICOM heads of government meeting there in Grenada that is currently going on as we speak. They are having their business sessions, and those business sessions commenced early today at 9 and will continue into tomorrow, and then they intend to wrap up with a press conference allowing members of the media to provide or to ask questions, and for the head table to give a response as to what they focused on. Some of the focus over the years has been on food and nutrition security as well. We know the Caribbean region has been focusing a lot on the Sustainable Development Goals and getting to those goals by the year 2030. Now, a lot of work has been done over the years by the various ministries, the various departments within governments across the region. But I think we must ask ourselves the very important question: how likely it is, when we look at where we are today, can we confidently say that we are nearing those goals? Because this is 2024. 2024 is almost over because we are approaching August. And so you could say we have less than 5 years to achieve those 17 goals. When you sit and you ask yourself the question, are we there in terms of 100% food and nutrition security? Are we there with promoting the CSME and regional integration and movement and ensuring that people from St. Kitts and Nevis could travel to Trinidad and Tobago, or from TNT to Grenada, or from Grenada to Antigua and Barbuda? Yes, it is something that is currently in place and has been working. But I believe it is something that we must continue to look at and see how we can further develop it so that the region as a whole could benefit tremendously. Where are we with climate resilience? We know that the larger countries like the UK, Canada, and the USA, those are the countries that contribute to the greenhouse gas emissions and basically heating up the world. But where are we in the Caribbean with climate resilience? We have a caller on the line. All right, let's take this call. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yes, good morning, Devonne.
Good morning.
Yeah, I was thinking in hearing your discussion on both issues, the new equipment and CARICOM meeting.
Mm-hmm.
I wondered if we couldn't have the kill two birds with one stone, so to speak.
How so? What do you mean?
In the sense that we can, if we can have, for instance, one of those hospital ships, state-of-the-art ones,
mm-hmm.
that have the most modern equipment, staffed by the most qualified people, specialists, and so on, to go around the region with services to the various territories. Because it's not all, I guess doctors will tell you that, or medical professionals will tell you, that in a lot of cases, you need a diagnosis, yes, and you need the equipment for accurate diagnosis.
Correct.
But it's not everything that is an emergency. So you may not need, let's say, whether it's an MRI services or any other specialized, very specialized service,
mm-hmm.
immediately.
Mm-hmm.
It's important to have, but you don't need it immediately.
Right.
And rather than have people traveling, multiple people traveling for quite some time,
mm-hmm.
around, it may be easier to bring the services to them. It may be cheaper to bring the services to them,
mm-hmm.
On a regular basis, on as needed basis.
Mm-hmm.
That might prove to be efficient, cost effective. Somebody could at least investigate that and see if that doesn't make sense. Because, even in the most advanced countries, I am sure there's a threshold by which it's not all hospitals that have the best and the most modern equipment. They make a determination as to what is needed in the circumstances that they have. Maybe it's just a small town of let's say, 10,000, 20,000 people. They can have a hospital, but it doesn't mean that they'll have a state-of-the-art, so to speak, hospital.
Mm-hmm.
There's some determination made as to what is the best type of institution needed for that level, that population size.
I
so
love
we
that
can do the same thing
suggestion.
here.
I love that suggestion. So perhaps a case where the CARICOM comes together and say, okay, we are going to invest in this ship, and it moves throughout the region offering specialized healthcare and specialized services.
Right, and especially equipment, especially in terms of equipment, which can be very expensive and costly to maintain.
Mm-hmm. As you mentioned, it reminds me of that ship. You made mention of the ship that comes here.
That U.S. ship,
Yes. Yeah. And offer different types of services. But I love that suggestion.
It can be looked at, investigated. The only problem with it is, of course, is what bedevils the region generally. That everybody wants everything, the best of everything, but they can't afford it. And it doesn't really make sense having a $10 million machine to cater for 2,000 people. Makes no sense. How often is it going to be used? What about the maintenance, the operational costs, the personnel, the highly skilled personnel required, those kinds of things.
Some people made the argument that they completely disregard all of those points that have been made, that you've made and that I've made, right? Some people make the argument that they don't care about that, but it is still important to have it, even if you know that based off of your research, that the possibility or the likelihood of it being used more than twice a year, very, very slim.
And you really feel people don't care about that? People don't see the wisdom in an alternative?
No, I've heard people have conversations right here in St. Kitts and Nevis calling for certain services that is a one-off, like literally a one-off,
which makes no sense. And that's what I'm saying. It's not that they won't get the service; they'll get the service, but it's not all services that you require, like today. You can lump, let's say, 20 patients together and say, well, this month we have these 20 patients. The ship is going to St. Kitts and deal with that, with those, and make those kinds of decisions. So you still have the service. It's just that you don't have it 24/7 right on site.
All right.
But that requires, of course, it requires some investigation and analysis and so on.
Yes.
But at least get it done so that we have these services and have them more efficiently and at a reasonable cost. Okay, because travel, how travel is right now in the region.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, Carla. Thank you so much for your input. You're listening to The Edge. It's 11:31, and the phone lines remain open at 465-2555 or 718-577-2916. Call us and lend your voice to the conversation at hand. 11:31. We have a caller. Let's take this call.
Hello.
Hello. Good morning.
Good morning. Welcome to the program. I'm listening to you about the machine, right? But I wonder if you don't go do for the men them who got the, I forget what the kind of cancer thing name, that they could show them update that if they could take an operation or they can't take one.
You mean the prostate?
Yeah.
I don't think it's that advanced.
Oh Lord, because I hear a lot of things. Okay. Have a blessed day.
All right. You too. Have a wonderful day. Thank you so much for calling. You're listening to The Edge. The phone lines are open and we are taking your calls at 465-2555 or 718-577-2916. With regards to the comment by the previous caller, people, not everybody. So let me not say people as in to, paint everybody with a broad brush. But I've had conversations here in Kitts and Nevis with people who would say, let's disregard that. The country has enough money, and they would make reference to our very CBI program and say, use the money from the CBI and purchase that equipment or that equipment, even though the data would show that the likelihood of that equipment being used more than 2 times within 5 years, very, very slim. And this is not just a thing in the Caribbean. It's all across the globe. You get services that are more likely to be used, if you understand what I mean. We have a call on the line. Let's take this call. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Mr. Cornelius.
How are you doing?
Oh, I'm not doing too bad for my age.
All right. Keep it that way.
And good morning to the listeners home and abroad. Carl Brown here. Mr. Cornelius, a couple of things. I And I guess many other people will say highly congratulations to the police force and the security forces. They have been doing, I would say, a very good job. We have heard of the many charges, the many convictions, and we have heard of the plans they have. But what we are saying to them, we want to see the soldiers and the police together, along with the police that are training, walking in patrol in all the communities. Then we want to see the buses, the trucks, the pickups, the bike, and the cycle patrolling. They want to keep down crime. They want to eliminate crime. This is the way they have to go. Whether it's a hot spot or it's a cold spot, you have to have foot patrol by army, police, and trainee police. Not together, but constantly throughout the day and the night behind one another. Then you have the vehicular patrol. You will keep the criminals them uneasy. You will keep them unsettled because there is the presence of the security forces always around. That has been one of the problems we have been lacking. All of a sudden now the police they want to be driving in air-conditioned vehicles. You're trying to get the police attention and you can't get their attention.
But not to be fair, though, not all of them. I have seen where police do their patrol throughout the different communities here in St. Kitts and Nevis. But I get your point.
But we have to put back the foot patrol. We have been selling ourselves short by just vehicular patrol. Once ago, we used to have a police bicycle team. We used to have a police motorcycle team. Those are eliminated. Crime was not as high as it is now when we used to have those patrols on the bicycle and the cycle, the foot patrol and the vehicular patrol. Because you have the criminal them to rethink, you have them to go back to the drawing board. Now them have we and the security forces have to go to the drawing board. We are doing this thing wrong. Now, the other thing is, from the professor and students of the Coconut Tree University, we have some alleged information that Crazy Eddie will now be Natural Eddie because we have learned alleged information that Builders Paradise will be very soon sold to Hosford, SL Hosford and Company. So we understand that Crazy Eddie now, who will become Natural Eddie, is going into retirement. And we hope Hosford will keep the good prices at Builders Paradise and keep the many customers them that goes to Builders Paradise and not jack up the prices to compete with TDC.
All right, all right. Thank you so much, Gala, for your contribution to the program. We'll take a break, and when we come back, we'll continue our conversation here on The Edge. Stay with us.
Throughout the Caribbean, we boast a diverse abundance of flora and fauna that adorn our countries. This diversity follows through to our people, communities, and families.
As a doctor, I treat my patients with respect and understanding, without stigma or discrimination, no matter their sexual orientation, practice, or belief. Remember, everybody deserves a fair treatment.
As a mother and healthcare professional, I believe all Caribbean children should be safe, happy, and healthy. Let us create a safe, supportive environment for all Caribbean children to thrive.
Let us treat our LGBTQ+ family members with love and respect. Strong families create a stronger Caribbean. This message is brought to you by the Eastern Caribbean Alliance for Diversity and Equality,
And you're listening to The Edge here on ZIZ Radio 96.1 FM. I'm your host, Devonne Cornelius, and thank you for joining me in the program for today. It is 11:40 here in our studios, and thank you for joining. The phone lines are open, and so we take your calls at 465-2555 or 718-577-2916. That's our overseas line. We are also live on YouTube, our YouTube channel, ZIZ Online, and via Facebook at ZIZ Broadcasting Corporation. Call and give your take your view on what we have been discussing, for today. If you're just tuning in, I shared with you the 47th regular meeting of the CARICOM Heads of Government is currently underway in Grenada. It wraps up on Tuesday, which is tomorrow. And the Ministry of Health purchasing a brand new CT scan machine, which is expected to be commissioned by September, according to the Prime Minister and the Minister of Health, Dr. Jeffrey Hanley. And so we definitely look forward to that development. I've been, and I want to say to the caller with the specialized healthcare and having the ship move through the region, the more and more I think about it, I could see how it could work. There will be, of course, challenges in anything that you do, but it cannot be a case where we have this service introduced and only 2 or 3 or 4 member states are supporting this initiative. You don't want a case where this service has been launched and in terms of the upkeep of this service, it is poor. And so you spend hundreds of thousands of dollars or millions of dollars to have this investment put in place. But when it comes to maintenance, the upkeep and all of that, it is not on the priority list or it is not on the to-do list. And so millions waste, millions go, and we lose millions of dollars that could have been invested in another sector of the economy. And I've seen that, especially in the Caribbean, where politics is something that we unfortunately take very serious. Whenever there is a change of administration or a change of a minister for a particular portfolio. But in our case, it is a change of administration. There are ideas that don't go through. And some make sense, others don't. When I say some, in terms of the decision. And so you don't want a case where because you had this program running and there's a change of leadership and you just keep it running for keep it running sake, even after you have done your research and you realize that, boss, this thing ain't really making no sense and it's not really seeing positive benefits. And so I would want to believe that that is one of the reasons as to why people or administrations in the region don't continue with certain projects or don't continue with certain things. And it happens, as we're talking about healthcare, it happens in healthcare. Perhaps it's a case where, we want to go back to the drawing board and ensure that we cross all our T's and dot all of our I's and ensure that things are in the right place, things are expected or anticipated to work smoothly. The phone is open. Call us at 465-2555. It's 11:45 and you're listening to The Edge here on ZIZ Radio 96.1 FM. I'm Devonne Cornelius, and again, thank you so much for joining me. winding down rather, on a good note, let me congratulate the winners of the Mr. Cool and Miss Swimwear, Miss Culture Swimwear. So it's the Mr. Cool 2024 contest and the Miss Culture Swimwear contest. This took place last evening at the NIDAX Cultural Complex. I have to get used to that instead of saying Nevis Cultural Complex, but it has been renamed to the NIDAX Cultural Complex, and that's the Nevis Dramatic and Cultural Society, NIDAX. And so it was held there last evening. The Mr. Cool for 2024 is St. Clair Rollins, and the Miss Culture Swimwear is Khadidra Lewis. And so congratulations to both of you. You have, I would say, done well based off of the comments and reviews that I have seen, and so congratulations. Of course, Culturama continues tonight. We have the panorama, we have the talented teen coming up, and these different activities basically for the rest of the week. On Saturday, I believe we have the food fair, and so I'm encouraging all of you here on St. Kitts to catch the boat and come over, whether you want to take it from the Bastia to Charlestown, or if you want to do from Reggae Beach to Owali. It doesn't matter. Do what is most convenient for you. But I'm hoping to see Nevis flooded with Kitchens for the remainder of Culturama 50. The phone lines are open and we take your calls at 465-2555 or 718-577-2916. If you are just tuning in, I've shared an update on the 46th regular meeting and the new CT scan arriving here in St. Kitts. Another Prime Minister has been talking about the CT scan for quite some time, and he has gotten some licks for it, in the sense that people have been asking, well, you keep saying that the CT scan machine is coming and we're not seeing it. It has arrived. It has arrived. People have been asking for an update, because I know every opportunity that he would get, he would talk about the CT scan machine coming, because they've done the necessary work to ensure that everything is in place, and so it has arrived. But those machines are very complex, they are very unique, and it is not something that could be just set up any old how. You need people who know what they're doing to commission these machines. You have to know what you're doing to commission these machines. And so I assume, or I anticipate, that is the reason for it being commissioned in September instead of being commissioned tomorrow, because it is not a regular machine. It is one, according to the PM, that is so advanced that it could pick up or detect heart disease. You are listening to The Edge on ZIZ Radio 96.1 FM. If you have any callers on the line, I think we can take at least two before we wrap up our conversation for today. So that's 465-2555 or 718-577-2916. If we have no callers right now, let me say thank you so much for joining me in the program for today. Great conversation. Thank you for your calls and your contribution to our discussion. I think we have a caller on the line, so we'll take this one. Hello, caller, you're on the air. Good morning.
Mr. Ting, again, I understand that a man from England had come saying it, and he went by her Valley Beach or something, and he down or something. Some class. But anyway, I hope they clear the machine them, because some of them can't clear nothing. I hope they clear the machine where my cousin Joe bring. Thank you.
All right, Colin, thank you so much for your thank you for your contribution to the program. Regarding yes, there was a drowning incident in Nevis recently. Forgive me, I'm not remembering the exact day, but Clark, the first name is slipping me as well. Let me see if I could All right, so the police force issued a statement about a suspected drowning incident because it is currently under investigation. So it was at the Owali beach, and the person is Lanvey Clark. He is a returning national originally from Cades Bay. So yes, caller, you are correct. If you have no more calls, we'll bring this program to a close at 11:50 to make way for our midday newscast that is coming up very shortly. Until next time, you guys, stay safe. Please take your time on the road, especially those of you on Nevis. We have a number of people who came home for Culturama 50. People are back home, and so you're going to see more vehicles, more people and more vehicles on our roads. So I am begging you to please pay attention when you're driving, the texting and on the phone chatting and the drinking and the driving and all these things. Now, your loved one is at home waiting for you to get home safely, and so please take your time on the road and don't rush. You're going to get there eventually. Until next time, you guys, stay safe and continue to enjoy the rest of your Monday. You've been listening to The Edge for Monday, July 29th, 2024. I've been your host, Devonne Cornelius. Goodbye. Have a good one.